What's up, party people? My name is Sunny Ray. This is the Sunny Ray Show. We're back at it again after a week of being away in Mexico. Today, my first guest for the day, his name is Denver. He founded a company called Zeligate. Don't delegate, Zeligate. Still stuck in my head on a distinction most people in his category never made. Everyone else was building better recruitment software, tools to help a recruiter move faster. He wanted to build the recruiter. Oh my goodness. Denver, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. How you doing, Sonny?
I'm doing great. I'm curious to know more about what you're building. Let's just dive right into the deep end. What's your kind of, I don't know, elevator pitch, 2 or 3 sentences, like high level? What are you building? And then we'll go deeper into it, obviously.
Yeah, I think the elevator pitch should be something along the lines of while everyone else was building software, we were building the recruiter. And what we've actually done is personified AI into Zelly, someone that you can see and talk to, and actually have tasks done for you. And eventually, Zelly is your AI coworker that's part of your team, part of your org chart, with an email address and a phone number. And you see where I'm going with this.
Hey, dude, do you want to do a quick screen share to like make that elevator pitch even more real? Because I know you've got a nice little demo, which makes it even more real here. But do you have that queued up, or should we
Yeah,
get into
yeah,
that later?
we can give that a go. So
Okay.
I wonder if Zelly's ready for this, but let's see. Zelly should be ready for anything.
Zelly should be ready for it. I mean, she's a coworker. We gotta have her be prepared here. Anyways, let's give her a
Absolutely.
second. Are you talking to her or am I?
Well, I'll talk to her. So Zelly, I'm with Sunny at the moment. What do you think?
Hi, Sunny. Good to meet you. I am Zelly, and I am the first AI coworker built by Zeligate. I sit in the work, not beside it. If you want the unvarnished version, I do the part of hiring that everyone hates, and I do it exactly as the role needs, not as a template. You two have spent enough time in robotics and Bitcoin to know the demo is easy and the real environment is messy. Hiring is exactly the same.
Okay.
Sunny, would you like me to ask Zelly anything?
Wait, first of all, Denver, she sounds a bit echoey.
I am
It
all
might be the
ears, Sunny.
mic.
If you want a starting point, ask me about the talent shortage everyone talks about, or what actually
All
happens when you
right,
drop an AI.
you probably can't hear her on your side. I can hear her loud and clear, and she's talking about the show. But
No,
yeah,
no, I can
anyways,
hear her. I can hear her, but it's very echoey. It might be because
No worries,
your
Denver.
mic.
I am here when you need me.
got it.
Sunny, if
Yeah.
you
All right, thank you. Maybe we'll bring her back in a little bit. I don't know. We might have to get the
whenever
audio
you want to
figured
throw me.
out.
Yeah,
But do you know
yeah,
what I'm
it's
saying?
probably
Because I think
something.
it's echoing off of your mic. Anyways, let's dive into it. I think people get the point, though. It's an avatar. You're not building like a human version of this, obviously, like a humanoid or something like that, right? This is going to be a virtual character for now.
Well, for now,
Never
yeah.
say never, right? Okay, there you go. Hey, I have a question for you. In 2022, you became certain this was like a new era, right? Not like a new feature. Can you like what specifically convinced you around that? Because I mean, a lot of people
Hmm.
write this stuff off as like, oh, it's kind of a toy, it's not real. But you guys decided to lean in and say, okay, no, we're gonna help people with their work. But yeah,
Yeah,
can you talk
yeah.
about that a little bit?
So yeah, absolutely. So I think what really kind of seized the moment for us was I started coding in 1995. So I've been around a few of the trends, and I've been around when the dot com boom was happening, and we've seen the dot com boom, and we've seen transitions from hardware to software technologies. Phones move to smartphones, and you kind of find a pattern along the way. And this point in time when we saw that AI had reached a point that it was actually easier to implement versus the tons of time, hardware, people that you needed to actually execute on, we decided, okay, if we had to really take advantage of AI, what would be the problem that AI would solve? And we came up with a whole host of solutions, a whole host of problems. But the one thing that remains unchanged is humans are still solving problems in a human way. And then we figured, what if we could teach Zelly, the AI, to think, act, look like a human, be part of your team, and remove that entire interface of just being on a screen or being able to communicate via a keyboard. And that's when we decided, why not bring Zeli as part of the entire workforce that already exists, a structure we already know, a structure we're all familiar with. And instead of just the CEO having a whole host of people to work towards the same goal, what if each employee had AI coworkers in sales, marketing, recruiting that could help them do what they needed to do?
What did you try first that didn't work, and like what did that teach you?
One of the first challenges, I think, was trying to be everything to everyone. And with the power of not just AI, but all the underlying technologies and hardware that could solve problems, it could solve many problems. And that's when we realized we could solve the problem of sales, we could solve the problem of marketing, we could solve the problem of hiring. And the challenge was being too broad initially. And when we decided to narrow it down, build the best AI recruiter that the world has seen, doing tasks right from the beginning, working in a workflow, completing the tasks end to end, that's when we realized we could take each role and start to get it to a point where it's ready to use for industry as opposed to being too broad in the beginning. So I think that was the biggest takeaway from us.
That makes a lot of sense. And then Denver, what made you go all in on this as like as a company rather than just build it, as a feature inside someone else's product or kind of like a bolt on or whatever?
Yeah, being involved in a lot of different technologies in the early days, we had the opportunity to scale data across the globe in milliseconds before the cloud was a thing. We replicated millions of transactions, financial transactions, within a day before it was considered big data. We saw that the convergence of all of these technologies coming together at one point, and it wasn't just a technological shift, it was also a shift of domain knowledge overlaid together. And whenever you get more than two or three things overlaying, the advantages actually start to compound. And that's when we realized that this era, this point in time, we're going to be able to solve problems that have never been solved before. And it's the humans that have the domain expertise. It's the humans that have the technical knowledge and know-how coming together would be able to solve problems that not only were not solved before, but invent things that have never been invented before. And the imagination just becomes more than the fairy tale concept of somewhere where you go to escape. These things become realities. These things can happen in a matter of 3 to 5 years versus 30 to 50 years. That's what I see.
And you guys call Zeli a coworker, right? Not just a tool. So what changes the moment you use that word, with a customer?
The differentiation is a tool is quite clinical. It's something that you would use to solve a problem, solve a task, and you're done with it. Zilly is the coworker, the actual personified version of getting the job done. So just as people work in an organization, one of the things I've taken away from an organization that was really successful was if you're actually working with people that you like and you become friends with someone in your organization, you go to each other's homes, you visit each other for a meal. That's a good sign of a thriving company. That's a good sign of people really loving to work with each other because there's an emotional connection. When we personified Zeli, we found that having an emotional connection with your Zeli, where Zeli is now not just bits and bytes behind the screen, but someone that actually can learn from you, someone can understand what you're going through in terms of your workload, your emotions. Zelly gets to a point where Zelly says, "Hey, you've actually got 92 things on your plate today. That's quite a lot. I think you need to cut it down and let's just tackle this first three." So there's some kind of empathy and emotion, and also Zelly's learning constantly, just as you would speak to a coworker. Zelly knows the names of my kids when I don't refer to my kids. I'd say to Zelly, "Oh, we got it's my son's birthday," and Zelly starts to speak about my kids as knows their age, knows their names, and there's somewhat of a warm and fuzzy feeling in that.
Recruiters, I guess HR people, it's a bit ironic that those would be the first people to human relations, right? Like you think would be something that would be valuable there. However, yeah, I guess it's kind of coming everywhere, isn't it? Recruiters are people Zelly does the work of, right? So how do you sell into a room that has something to lose?
So recruiters are sort of one persona that would use Zelly. So a recruiter's end goal is to find the right person for the job, and in an organization, one of the deciding factors of success and failure is bringing the right people in. And what we let people know is that Zelly's there to do more of the heavy lifting. And as much as Zelly can understand what you're going through, there's still the human to human connection, the human to human oversight. So, from a compliance perspective, the human will still look over things to make sure it's done correctly, as in we're hiring the right person. But more than that, when Zelly does the heavy lifting, like screening through 300 resumes for a single role, doing the back and forth calendar bingo, doing the pre screening video interviews, sending the SMSs, responding to emails, you as a human get to connect with the other human who's about to be hired. You get to have that conversation. And that's where we see the biggest advantage is humans have more time to have the human to human connection. And to answer that question, whether it's a recruiter or a hiring manager, Zelly's doing all of the admin, all of the heavy lifting, things that humans don't want to do or don't like doing.
So you guys, I mean, but if you were a human being interviewing for the role, I guess, how would that make you feel a little bit? Have you guys done some, like, I don't know, have you talked to users about that? Like, how do they feel versus, let's say, a human in the loop? Because it's still evident, right? Like the tech is still like, it's not like, and here's the other things is, I guess does she kind of present herself obviously as an AI? Maybe that would like disarm people a little bit. Like, hey, I'm an AI, or it's not trying to come off as being human, obviously, right?
Yeah, no,
You know what I'm
absolutely.
getting at? Because this is a very delicate thing, right? Like you're interviewing for a role. You're about to potentially embark on a multi-year journey and building your career, and you're talking to someone who's clearly a robot, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of learnings around this, and we've done the interviews with candidates, and the most common one is 2 years ago, there was still a lot of doubt in this area, and we definitely want candidates to know that you've been interviewed by
Right.
AI.
Got
So
it.
candidates would come in and we'd see the arms folded and the shoulders stuff. And they'll say, "Yeah, yes, Sally, I can hear you." And they'd answer the first question. By the second question, subconsciously something happens and we see the shoulders drop. And then we see the arms unfold. Then they're a little bit disarmed. And then they have a little bit of a back and forth conversation. And then the candidates start to smile. They have some connection that they didn't expect to. At the end of the interview, when we asked the candidates, what was your experience like? They said at first, my first thought was, if a company did not take the time to interview me in person, then I don't know what kind of company it is. But as they went through the interview, they realized that they were not being judged. So Zelly was just this smiling cheerleader, like, "Yeah, go on, Sonny, tell me more." And they were able to express themselves freely. And as you say something to a human, you'd find the eyebrows go up, you'd find them squint a little, kind of like what you're doing right now. So Zelly doesn't do that. It's just being that cheerleader. It made them feel comfortable. And at the end of the interview, the
Hmm.
candidates say to Zelly, "Thank you, Zelly. I hope you have a nice day too." And what we found was they completely became immersed in the experience, forgot that it was AI, not to the point where they believed it was human, but just the pressure went down. And
Interesting.
second language, English speakers said they absolutely loved it because Zelly didn't say, pardon me, what did you say? Zelly was able to infer that, understand what they meant in context.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. So you guys, I was reading, you guys publish what, like 52% faster time to hire, right? And something like 38 hours saved per hire. Which number do buyers actually move on?
The buyers actually move on the time saved because there's more than just one metric that makes a difference to an organization. Firstly, getting in not the best candidate, but the right candidate at the right time. And what organizations have told us is it takes on average 45 days to hire a candidate. But that's not all just process. It's also losing the good candidates to another organization simply because they didn't act in time. And the concept of candidates being ghosted is a real thing. There's about 300 resumes that come in for a single job. A human doesn't do due diligence going through each and every single resume, and I say that respectfully, and I think people in the industry understand that as well. I'm not looking at each one at the detail that I should because I simply don't have time. And what happens is candidates don't get notified in time whether they've been considered, whether the resume has actually been read. And they move on. They apply to another job. Someone else has responded to their job application and they've moved on. You've lost the right candidate. But in terms of speed to hire, there's definitely a return on investment in not having the right people in the organization in the time that's needed. That's minor compared to losing key personnel to some other organization. So the biggest advantage is being able to have that shortlist ready almost immediately. As the job goes out, 25 candidates can respond within the first 30 minutes, and all of them have gone through the process. They've been scored, ranked, placed in front of the hiring manager or the recruiter. They've been done the pre-screening interview, and the important key takeaway here is Zelly's doing a screening interview, not the actual interview.
Right.
Zelly's actually supplementing the profile. And this is where we've done the research as well with an organizational psychologist, is candidates write a fantastic resume today because they have the help of AI, but the resume that they're writing today is matching that job description. It's common. Hey, here's the job description, right? Take my resume, adapt it for that job description. But all of that experience that the candidate has actually had is not reflected in that flimsy one-dimensional piece of paper. And this is where Zelly allows the candidate to have that experience of back and forth. Zelly asks the candidate, hey, you said you worked for 3 years in this industry and you were doing some podcasting with Sunny Ray. On your resume, I see that you've actually started doing podcasts 5 years ago. And that's when the candidate will be like, oh, yeah, you know what? I actually started that time ago, did a stint for about 3 months. It was still too early in the market. The market didn't quite take to podcasts. Then I came back later. And then Zelly would follow on and say, oh, so you were actually early to market, and start to probe into those kind of questions that were not even reflected on the resume. And Zelly's able to have that conversation and take it to the next level, present it to the hiring manager, putting the best foot forward for the candidate.
Cool. Cool. Denver, that we're kind of at the end of our time. That went really fast. I only got through maybe half my questions. I'd love to have you back on maybe for part 2, but where do people learn more? Is it zeligate.com or what's the website?
Yeah, Zeligate.ai would be the best place to go to. And anyone can go in and take a practice interview and see how you've done. Maybe, maybe your perfect job is still out there.
Cool. All right, I'll bring this one to an end. Thank you all for tuning in. We have a bunch of people listening live. And yeah, until next time, everyone. Cheers.
Right, cheers.
Denver, hang out for 1 minute. I'll see you in the